Hi, this is Greg Koopman, SSIS 2016, Session 2, Part 2. In this video, I'm going to discuss event handlers and specifically the package level event handler code. Event handlers, every object on the screen has an event handler. Okay, so the whole package, which is a whole entirety of this, all these things together, has its event handlers. If you go into this container, it has event handlers. Okay, as you go into each one of these objects within there, it also has event handlers. So we're not using that many event handlers, but we are using a couple. So one event handler we're going to use. So if I go to the main screen here, like I am, and I go up to event handlers, your event handler hierarchy is over here. So again, this is like another layer. This is right behind it on that object. So my name of my package is 320 execute info micros item master, right? So here I'm at the highest level of the tree, which is the package level. Underneath each of these, we have our executables. Now notice these guys. Anyone know what these are? 005, 007, 015, 0030. Okay. What those are, if we go back to the package, which means we have to go back to control flow to see the main page, right? If we look at it a little closer, the containers 005, 007, right? Those are the names of these containers, right? Because that's another level, that's a level within it. 030, right? And within those, we have also the same kind of numbering thing. 01510, 01520. Okay? So we go back to event handler. If we wanted to set one up, on a certain object, right now we have an event handler for on error. When an error happens, it will, at the package level, or anything within the package level, it will come in and run this code. Okay, and what this code does is it sends out an email. It's an untrapped error because I didn't trap it. So this is an email task. Okay, like I told you, the send mail task over here. But this is a send mail task. And what this will do, and when you get into the event handler, it all of a sudden has a whole different context of what variables it has. So when we come in here, here's my, if I want to send it straight out, I can go from Greg Koopman to Greg Koopman. Critical error is a subject line here. Direct input. This is a critical error and will stop the SQL Server. DW daily load, which is the name of the project. Okay, but these, that's if you hard code it, you put them in here. But if you don't want to, if you want to do more with it, you can use expressions. And again, for the subject line, I put in here, I put critical error in SSIS package. And then if I click this ellipsis, I can configure it. So I say I want the package name, a system package name. So there's a whole set of variables for system variables. And so like package name, so this way when I can keep this on this whole expression the same for whatever package I'm on, because it's going to grab whatever package that is. It knows the package name already. So when it sends it, it will say in the subject line, it will name the package so we know what package failed. And then it will also send a source name. So a source name says, let's say it's halfway down through the package and it's on it's on an object, and that object fails, and the object's called 111, 111 get data. So 111 get data is a source name, and that will be it will know the source name, so it can give you exactly what object in the package failed. So, but that's all configured this way through this object, so it's not hard coded, and it gives them a lot more information when it bubbles up to the job and the operators look at it. Okay, so, and we'll see that later. So that's what happens if you get an error in anywhere in the package that will occur. Now, there's certain parts of the package I don't want it to bubble up and error out. I want to be able to keep on going. I'll show you that in just a little while. Another thing I do at the error handling level at the event handler is right here. I'm in the event handler. If you look at the drop down here, I'm at the highest level as I showed you. And again, like I said, you go to your executables. There's all your containers we talked about, right? And then within those containers, there's executables, which are the other objects. So in 007 get current job ID, there's one object there, and that's called get current job ID for logging. Underneath the truncate staging and error tables, there's two objects there, okay, and so on. So every object is represented, so you can, set them up differently for each one if you want, but that's probably way too much. So right now we're at the package level, the highest level, so everything bubbles up to this highest level. So if an error happens, it will bubble up to this send email. Also, if you look here, there's some highlighted, bolded text here. That means I had set up some code in it, but actually not all these have code in it. But if they're not highlighted, I definitely never set up any code for it. They haven't been configured. So you see this hyperlink. So if I go to on pre-validate, pre-validate is right before it gets into the package, before it starts running the object. So what I do in there is before every object, I run the SQL task, and this SQL task logs the object name and the time it came in. So as you see, that's a execute SQL task, that object, and I pass in some parameters which you can see are indicated by the question marks. And what this does is goes to the job log table and it logs whatever parameter I'm sending it in these orders. That's the first one, the second question mark, and the third. Now where do those come from? Well, those are going to come from, again, in the configuration where you do parameter mapping. And here I send in variables. So I send in the job ID I picked up, I send in the system package name and the system source name. So that way, if I wanted to, I could see exactly all the objects it went through when it built this thing and at what time they went through, what time the process hit those objects. Okay, and we'll take a look at that in just a minute. In fact, let me just go ahead and show you in SQL Server that table. So in that table, when on every package, we go into DW, and we have this job table. So at the beginning of the entire job, we'll create a new entry, and we'll use the ID that's generated from that job ID to assign to every activity that happens in that for the whole job. So every object. So here's a job log, which is where I log everything that I just showed you. And as we look in there real quick, you'll see all these different, all the times and dates of all the different tasks that I'm running. So there's a whole bunch of them in here, and it just keeps bigger. Okay, so you can see all the different names of all those different objects. Okay, as well as the source, which is the name of the packages. So here we have package 100, probably some other 105, etc., 320, etc. So that's where all the logging goes through. So if we ever, for example, if we truncated that, well, we'll do that later. We'll truncate it, and when we run it, we'll see what it looks like. This concludes this video. Thank you for watching.